Meghna Dekar is joining us live with more details on what's happening as Ghulam Nabi Azad has submitted his resignation. Meghna, over to you.
Well, yes, we've managed to access the 4-page letter which has been written by one of the closest Gandhi aides to have left the party, to have dumped the Parivar in the recent days. And this, remember, is one of the most senior people, written by Ghulam Nabi Azad. This is the resignation letter. It says, as you are aware, I had an extremely close and personal relationship with your family. From late Mrs. Indira Gandhi to late Shri Sanjay Gandhi, including with your late husband Rajiv Gandhi. In that spirit, I also have great personal regard for your individual trials and tribulations, which would always continue. Remember, Ghulam Nabi Azad is someone who has always defended the Gandhi Parivar, even in the darkest of times. Today, he's been forced to take a step such as this. He said, some of the other colleagues, and now I will preserve to perpetuate the ideas for which we have dedicated our entire adult lives outside the formal fold of the National Indian Congress. For all the reasons that I have mentioned above, especially that the Indian National Congress has lost both the will and the ability under the tutelage of the coterie that runs the AICC to fight for what is right for India. In fact, before starting Bharat Jodo Yatra, the leadership should have undertaken a Congress Jodo exercise and with the country. It is therefore with great regret and extremely laden heart that I have decided to sever my half-a-century-old association with the Indian National Congress, thereby resign from all my posts, including the primary membership of the Indian National Congress. Remember, in this letter, it's a very heartful letter written by someone who's been associated with the Gandhi Parivar, associated with the Congress Party for the last 50 years. He said that in the August of 2020, when I and 22 other senior colleagues, including former union ministers, chief ministers, wrote to you to flag up the abysmal drift in the party, and the coterie, however, chose to unleash its sycophants on us and got us attacked, got us vilified, got us humiliated in the most crudest of manners possible. In fact, on the directions of the coterie that runs the AICC today, my mock funeral procession was taken out in Jammu. Imagine the pride of a man who's given half a century to this party, to this Parivar, today saying that my mock funeral procession was also taken out by the same party cadres that he worked his entire life for. He says those who committed this indiscipline were then feted in Delhi by the General Secretaries of the AICC and Rahul Gandhi personally. It's important for us to remember it's not just a betrayal by the Congress cadres and the coterie. In this letter, Ghulam Nabi Azad says he has been betrayed by the Parivar, whom he had defended even in the darkest of times and had been associated for the last 3 generations, from Indira Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, as well as Sanjay Gandhi. He said, I have always been loyal and look what you've done to me today. He goes on to say that the same coterie had unleashed its gundas to physically attack the residence of Chief Minister colleague Kapil Sibal, who incidentally was defending you and your kin in the courts of law for your alleged attacks of omission and commission. Despite that, loyalty was paid by being backstabbed by the Parivar itself. Now, this is something that he himself has written. He in fact then goes on to say that the only crime that the 23 senior leaders, who are these 23? These, of course, are the G23 that he's referring to. They wrote a letter out of concern for the party, is that they pointed out both the reasons for the weakness of the party and the remedies as well were given by the G23. Unfortunately, instead of taking those views on board in a constructive and cooperative manner, we were abused, we were humiliated, we were insulted and vilified as a specially summoned meeting of the extended CWC. Unfortunately, he says, the situation in the Congress has reached such a point of no return that now proxies are being propped up to take over the leadership of the party for the Parivar. These are very serious charges, and it's a heartfelt letter by a man who's been a Congress man for the half a century, who's been loyal to the Parivar. Today he says the Parivar and the party have betrayed him.